Hello, my name is Mackenzie and I'm autistic and an ADHDer, and this is my YouTube channel, Autistic Musings. On my channel, I spread autism awareness by defining autistic terms, giving unique solutions to uniquely neurodivergent problems, and by sharing my own experience. Now, today we'll be talking about a state that I have been in quite often, hyperfixation. What is hyperfixation? What does it look like? And how does it feel? Welcome back, all of my returning viewers. I am happy you came. And to all my newcomers, thank you for joining us. I'm so happy that you decided to click. Now, I would like to apologize to all my returning viewers for not posting a video last week. I got into a state of hyperfixation and I forgot everything but what I was doing. I was hyper-focusing on Thanksgiving, and I was in charge of the party plans, and I've never done that before, and I got really focused, and I cooked a whole Thanksgiving dinner, and planned games and scavenger hunt, and I got really into it, and I forgot about everything else. Which brings us to our topic today. It won't happen again, by the way. I'll give you guys a warning for the next time that happens. There will be a warning, I promise. Anyway. Hyperfixating on subjects. Hyperfixation is something that autistic people do, ADHDers, people with anxiety disorders and depression. We all have hyperfixations. We all experience these things, and I got 3 of the 4 that I just listed, so I do this a lot. What is hyperfixation? Hyperfixation is focusing on one subject. It can be anything from a book, movie, to a skill that you'd like to master, and a language. There's all kinds of anything. A person. Everything could be hyperfixated on and focused on in favor of anything else. Everything else is kind of ignored in favor of this one subject for an extended period of time. The time can vary but it's quite extended. Like, it can go on for like a few months to like a week to, the times vary, but imagining focusing on one subject, just one subject for that entire time. Thinking about anything else is hard. Talking about anything else is bordering on impossible, and you just constantly thinking about it. It's not something that most people can do to this level, but autistic people, ADHDers, we're the masters at this, really. All of us can hyperfixate on certain things. Usually with autistic people, it's special interests. I do that a lot. Ooh, look at, I got a coffee cup with Harry Potter stuff on it. Anyway, sidetracked. And ADHDers are more famous for this one because I do this quite frequently too. Immersing oneself in a new subject and becoming so annoying because you will not stop talking about this new subject and you have to regurgitate everything and you cannot think about anything but this one subject. You may forego some things in favor of this subject or spend massive amounts of money on said subject in favor of this new talent that you can't imagine not being interested in anymore after a certain period of time. But often you are completely uninterested in this activity after that extended period of time is over. This has happened quite frequently with me. I'll be really invested in a subject and then the interest will completely drop once the hyperfixation is over. But I'm also got special interests that always bring joy. And I will always be in favor of other subjects, But hyperfixation is what I kind of call tunnel vision. When you get in this state, you're focusing on this one subject and you'll forget about kind of everything in the world besides the subject. And it's not just subjects. You can hyperfixate on people, on movies, on objects, on learning a new skill, on a subject. Like, it could be anything. And completely immerse yourself in this thing, and you can forget about everything. And I did that with Thanksgiving, and I immersed myself in that and completely went super in depth into party plans and recipes and all that, and forgot everything. I apologize. It does happen quite a bit, but it's just a thing. And sometimes it's actually a really good thing, because I've never planned for a party in my life, and I actually did a good job because I planned out every detail and went really deep into what people would enjoy with a mass amount of focus that most people are not able to show for this long and constantly think about it. I've had a lot of interesting hyperfixations too. Something to keep in mind, like, I have no control over what I fixate on at all. Hyperfixations can be very strange subjects to very socially acceptable subjects, as can special interests, but I usually don't get a choice in the matter. I've hyperfixated on juggling, learning Spanish, on nutritional information, on The Good Place. A lot of show fixations. Ooh, so many. Yeah, a lot of interesting ones that I can think of that usually ended in a couple of ways. I could completely lose interest in the topic at the end of the hyperfixation. Wake up and it's suddenly just no longer interesting. It's kind of horrifying, to be honest. And then it could be one of those things that I can go back to every once in a while and I enjoy it again. I just pushed the button too many times on it because it was so much fun. Or it could turn into a full-blown special interest. That's an option too. Yeah, it's really intense though, and I won't stop talking about the subject that I'm hyperfixated on, and I forget basic household things, and then possibly sleeping, and everything gets foregone. You can kind of see somebody in this state and they won't talk about anything else. They won't think about anything else. They'll turn every conversation onto this subject, and you just gotta ride with the flow. Maybe tell them if you need some space. But yeah, this is hyperfixation, and it has lots of positives too. I can learn so much in such a little amount of time because I can hyperfocus on a subject and hyperfixate on a subject and learn a mass amount of information because I analyze it deeply and go over it in my head for every moment through that entire hyperfixation, possibly for a month. I could be thinking about one freaking subject. And it is amazing for absorbing information, learning a new skill, or anything like that. Very strange hyperfixations, though. I think I went over some of this, but it could be very strange subjects. It can be very interesting subjects. It can be learning new skills. Has some good points, has some bad points. But overall, it always feels really good for anybody that has a loved one or friend that does this a lot. It just feels really good, and we literally can't focus on anything else. It's nothing personal. You're not interesting anymore. You're probably really interesting, and we might hyper focus on you one day, and it will be intense. But it's just a state, and we cycle through it. It's not an all the time thing. But things can be forgotten, things need extra reminders. But I overall enjoy the state, even though I forget everything. usually, as long as I don't hyperfixate on anything that's not good to hyperfixate on, that's negative to me overall and affects me negatively, it's usually a good outcome. And it just happens a lot. I just did this video because I found the subject matter very relatable, and I do it a lot, and I thought I'd mention it. Yeah. Relevant to my life. I hope it was relevant to somebody else's life. I hope this was helpful in understanding somebody you love, or understanding yourself. That's always great. I strive for self-understanding and awareness. It's hard to achieve sometimes, but very helpful. And I hope to see you guys next week on Autistic Musings. Bye.